Welcome to the Motley Croc Show, 12/12/24. Every time I see that, I can't believe how much closer we are to Christmas. And every holiday for that fashion just keeps flying. You've got so many things going on. So behind the scenes, we have Manic Satanic and Britt Investigates. What's up, guys?
Hey, Britt.
Hi.
So we can talk a little about, I was watching in the news and people were sending me stuff. I don't really know a lot about that. That's not really my game, but you can talk to Brittany. But
Hi, Greg.
What's up, Craig? Alien base camps in under the ocean they've been aware of for years and just been hiding people from. And I saw that one of the governors of maybe Colorado was probing around and said keeping people in the dark. What's up with that too, Brittany? I'd like to definitely want to touch on that tonight for sure.
Okay.
If you're cool with that.
Yeah.
I don't know much about it to answer anybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's
the authority.
Some of the problem is that like there's clickbait that's happening right now with a lot of what Tim Gallaudet said, and it's not actually what he was saying. So
yeah. And then I was reading that in 2024 they saw what appeared to be landing lights under the ocean up there near Gulf Breeze, Florida. After lights had shot into the ocean. Do you think that's fucking real or fake too?
The blue lights. Believe it or not, we actually get a ton of reports from the military and Navy from the East Coast, especially even in Florida. So we get a lot.
Because we have some deep waters, especially off the coast of Daytona. I mean, deep.
Yeah. We get them on both sides, but honestly, it's the Atlantic that gets a lot more lights. Like, and I don't mean like there's like some misidentification, like where they'll see like shrimp boats and they're like, it's hovering above the water, but it's the shrimp boat light and it's moving. And then it, like, as the boat turns, the light goes away. But there's actual lights that they've seen that will basically chase the boats and then they go underwater and then they come back up and then they'd go further.
So let me ask you a question, Brittany, because I've heard about that on the shrimp boats. I'm going to poke. This is going to be good. So I've heard about that, right? And so they see these lights, like kind of like, so I'll just do it towards you. So if they're coming towards you or away and away and away. So if my hand's a light, right, and it talks about it goes away, but how come then if the Earth is flat, how come the light just doesn't get smaller and smaller? How come it drops down?
It's curving with the Earth.
I want to know. I mean, I'm curious because there's some serious flat Earth theories out there, buddy.
Well, it's interesting because like when it comes to the way that the like airplanes work over the ocean too, we forget that in sometimes when they turn, we won't see their lights anymore because the way that the plane is turning in direction from the ocean, like so when they're heading out over the ocean. So it looks like it vanishes. Yeah. Cause a lot of times I'll get a lot of videos of like Cessnas over the ocean and there's no sound because they're too far out at a different elevation. And so people assume that it's a UFO, but it's really a Cessna. And then when they come in just enough and they turn, their lights go away because they're not their main lights are not facing you anymore. Like Cessna lights are very different than like commercial jet lights and stuff. Like on the top.
Sure. There's a lot of weird stuff sometimes. I every now and then I go outside in the evening where I live in the Tampa area. If you go out probably about a half hour after it's dark.
Yeah.
Like, or right as it gets dark, but a good half hour after it's dark, man, you'll see all the satellites. The sun just glares off of them. I mean, Jeff knows because he's in a dark spot, but you can see him up in the sky, and then like the space station goes over and you're like, whoa, it's pretty sick. You know what I mean? But
Starlink to me is one of the coolest things to see. When you see the Starlink train, to me, it's just the coolest thing.
Yeah. When I first saw that, I thought we were being invaded.
Yeah, I mean, people still see it and they don't know what it is. And I love it when I get those videos because I love seeing them in different places. Like I've seen a video where there were two like separated trains, but they were following en route of each other. So it was like one train and then the next train came and it was like they just happened to get on the same rotation at the same time. Because normally you just see one of like 30 lights, but this one was like 60 lights. It was really cool. I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. Thank you for sending this to me. This is amazing.
I think that's really cool.
I love Starlink though. It's just cool.
So, man, there's so many other things too. Like, so let's think about this for a second. What about, he was talking about the lights over Jersey. I'm not familiar. Are you familiar? Was it drones?
Yeah. Like it's a mess. Really, it comes down to, it's definitely high intelligence and it's literally, this is a national security issue. Like in my personal opinion, when our own like DOD or our own government is not aware, Department of Defense is not aware or has no idea what they are, and now we have a semi state of emergency in Jersey to close like all flight air travel of any type of drones. It's an issue when you have that many. So, I mean, there's a lot of like people saying, could it be aliens? No, I firmly don't believe that it's aliens. There's people believing that it could be an adversary. That is more likely, in my opinion, if you were to ask me for my opinion.
Oh, okay.
But
Yeah,
I mean,
this
there's
is
also reports of like 50 of them coming out of the ocean. But when you hear that, and then the news articles say coming out of the ocean, my follow-up question is coming out of the ocean or coming from direction of the ocean? Because it could be coming off of a ship where they're collecting data going back to the ship. That's a government move. Is it coming out of the water? Now we're dealing with something different. Submarines don't have drones that come out of the water. So that's different. I need, there's context there that's missing in some of these articles where I'm like, wait a minute, who saw 50 drones coming out of the water? Is it coming off of the water? So I just want to know that part. And I don't think that they even know yet at this point. So Jersey all the way up through New York. It goes from New Jersey to New York. There's another state in there now that also had like 30 drones seen. There's another state. I don't know which one it was, but yeah.
I think that if it's an adversary, it's probably an adversary within, only because, getting something like that from outside in would be a lot harder than launching drones from here or from a close-in ship, to me anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Mary said if I lived in Jersey and the government is more curious, I'd be pissed. I don't believe the government doesn't know what it is. I agree with you. I believe that they do know what it is.
Yeah.
I really think a lot of it has to do with them. I'm not real sure if well, I have a couple theories on that. A lot of people talk about aliens and all this kind of stuff, and they're super intelligent. They're going to suck us all up. They may not even want to waste their time with us. If they're that far advanced, we're so far beyond minuscule that we're not worth bothering. I mean, It's just it's like me getting up tomorrow going, I'm going to get all those potato bugs out from under my potted plants tomorrow, every one of them, because they're just bothering me, building their little nest under the dirt. Right? This doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And I would more so believe that it is the government, because people are super intelligent. There are super intelligent human beings on this planet that develop a lot of cool things, whether it's evolved from ancient aliens or life form, whatever you want to, creationists, whatever you want to call it. They're still intelligent people doing intelligent things. And when you have 13 and 14-year-old kids hacking into our secret CIA and Secret Service computers, don't tell me there's a couple people that is our age out there with the intelligence to create certain things and sell it to the government to get one up, because it's always, to me, a power trip. Like, who can we kill more of and take control? Because it's the way that's the way humans are. We just conquer and kill. We try, right? Yeah. Like, that's what we always have done. We slowed down a lot compared to what it was in the beginning, because
people can fight back.
And there's a lot more. Yeah, and there's a lot more understanding of economic value when you destroy how long it takes to recoup. And so these people are like, well, if we do this, then we lose this, and so there's there's so much to it. So I think they do know. And a lot of people have asked me this, and I don't know why I get these questions. I have to go through my requests because there's a lot, and I try to look at them. Stuff like weather control. Yeah, I know they were discussing controlling the weather in 1955. That's when they really started talking about seeding. Like, I understand adding, taking moisture up, right? Like, say you're going to take water up and you're going to cloud with moisture to move moisture around, and I understand that stuff, right? Like, that's what they want to do or whatever. I do think they have the power to control different types of catastrophes, if you will. I think that there is some technology able to do that. Now, do they do that? Like, is it smart? Like, Jeff, listen, should we just take the laser today and just shoot it down? No one will see it. Big wave goes over. Do I think that they do that when people get? No, I don't. I don't think it's to the extreme that people think. But it's just interesting how certain areas suffer when there's some sort of resource that one of us really wants out of a country. And it doesn't necessarily just mean our country, right?
Yep.
So, again, if I don't want to say if Hitler won, but if Hitler's ideology had won, the world would be a lot different right now. There would be a lot. I mean, that would have changed
Everything.
Everything, because the Germans were responsible for a lot of our technology that we were learning about, and the Japanese have amazing technology. I mean, come on.
Yep.
So I think there'd be some countries that really suffer, in parts of the world that would really suffer just because lack of evolution, I would think.
I think there's a.
Go
Go ahead, Jeff. No, go ahead.
No,
If it
no
wasn't
one.
for their nuclear scientists, we wouldn't have, one World War II, more or less, and we
Right.
wouldn't have the nuclear capabilities that we have now.
Right.
Oppenheimer et al.
Exactly. And I just for just for shits and giggles, like if you ask somebody today of an age group, what's a Tesla or who was Tesla, and they're like, oh, the car.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
But if you really read about Tesla, he was really, he was a visionary dude, and so was, I know a lot of people
was
try to talk
incredible.
shit, but so was Steve Jobs. Like he died of cancer because he chose to. Like I read the story that he refused treatment. He didn't want to do treatment. He just wanted to take life's natural course, which is interesting to me because what does he know?
Mhm.
Like it's okay. I'm going to take this. I mean, don't you ever think about that? Like outside the box, like, oh, it's his right. People go, but I was thinking, what does he know? Because most people are like, no, I want to do everything I can to live. And he was just like, no, I just refuse that. And part of life is, this is my journey and I'm going to do this journey. What did he find out? What do you know?
Yeah,
I think he's just so matter of fact and black and white that to him, this was just the course, and he didn't want to put chemicals in his body. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think he believed in that.
It's suffering. A lot of it's, you suffer, and if it's not really going to improve your quality of life on the other side, I think a lot of people just give up. It just becomes not worth it to put yourself through the awfulness of treatment when your chances of improving your quality of life or significantly lengthening it are
Mhm.
not so great.
And that's somebody who had a whole lot of money too. Like he could have got some really good,
Yeah.
more than the average person help wise. So it's just interesting to me.
Well-
Those types of things I think about, ponder on it.
Well, what's really interesting too, and a lot of people don't know this, but Nikola Tesla, so a lot of people are like, oh my God, the Philadelphia experiment wasn't real. But folks, I hate to break it to you, the experiment was 100% real. And during this time, they had reached out to Einstein, and Einstein said he refused to be a part of this because of the inhumane things they were going to do to the human body to basically try and make something disappear and then reappear, right? With like invisible cloaking devicing. When they approached Nikola Tesla, he was like, I need to think about this. Let me take a moment to think about it. Well, Einstein heard about it, that he was approached. Einstein sent him multiple letters begging him not to do it because it was so inhumane. Like, please, I'm asking you. What they're asking to do is just, in his words, he called it vulgar. Like, he just did not want Nikola Tesla to be a part of it. Nikola Tesla ended up being a part of it. He ended up helping with the project, helping figure out how to cloak and how to create a barrier of sound waves so that they wouldn't actually be able to hear the vessels coming and so forth. So he was a part of it. And afterwards, he was traumatized from it, like because he knew what happened to some of the soldiers. When he passed away, the government was first on the spot at his house prior to anybody else being there. And then when they came, a couple of other gentlemen, they were, and a couple other gentlemen, because he lived kind of like in an apartment complex. And like, if you had been into his room, from what they had written, they said there were boxes all the way of all of his work. Like, he lived in a very small spot and all of his work was around him because he was afraid someone was going to take it from him. So anyway, he passed away. It was like 2 hours later, the person was like, I think he passed away because we haven't heard from him. He always comes down. He had a routine. So then they come to recover his body, come to recover his stuff. And they had a different government level that came, and they're like, oh yeah, no, there were a couple of gentlemen that already came earlier today and they were in suits and they already gathered his stuff. Like, his body's still there. They put a blanket over it. Yeah. Like, other level of government came in already and they took stuff. They're like, they were taking stuff out early this morning and they covered his body and said another group would be in to get his body.
And so now, hold on. That makes me wonder sometimes when I hear that, was he funded? So this organization that funded him the means to continually do those types. You know what I mean, Jeff? Like,
he would have been funded through the government, a government level.
That's what I mean. Like, Jeff's like,
stuff.
Jeff and me are like, yeah, we'll give you this money, Niccolo, and this is what you're going to do. And then when we get the call, we go and we take the shit back and we cover him up and give him his respects. But we paid him to do it.
Yeah.
Like I think he was sponsored. Like there's a lot of
he probably was.
Yeah, there's a lot of like even like conservationists and things like that get sponsored by big companies, because they're like, hey, we want to do right now. We've ruined all this land. So let's pay these conservationists a lot of money to really get out there and show us what we did wrong, whatever. I'm not saying it happens a lot, but it does. So I just wonder if he was funded and they were there first. That part of the government was there first because they always want to be ahead of everybody else.
Well, they don't want that information leaked, especially if they were if they were dabbling in stuff that would have been far ahead of the time. And don't forget, Nikola Tesla was trying to create a time machine. And at one point he successfully did. He was in 3 places at one time and it startled the crap out of him. And he actually wrote this in his own journal. Like there's literature of him having this experience. And then he had it multiple times after that because he was trying to conduct.
He wasn't doing drugs or anything, right?
No, he never did anything like that. I don't even believe he even drank.
Either he created a time machine or was able to see in multi-universes, which I think they're slowly leaking out with all the movies. Like, the multi-universe.
Yeah, and I believe that because it was something.
You know what I'm saying?
Like, people were saying, hey, he's saying, like, is it a time machine or like you just said, Troy, like a multi-diverse? I honestly think he was in multi-dimensions at the same time. But if you read it, you can find his literature online. I think one of the National Archives has it online for you to read. And it was just fascinating to read how he talks about, like, I was literally in 3 places at one time and I could hear individuals talking around me and I could see different realms, but it was like past, present, future. And it was interesting too. He met up with a colleague at a cafe. This is another fun part. So people were like, yeah, whatever. Nikola Tesla said this until they actually published his literature. But the young kid that worked at the cafe, when Nikola Tesla came in and he had like a briefcase he took with him everywhere, apparently had like special stuff in it. He met a colleague and he was telling this colleague at this cafe about what he had just experienced. And he was like, no way, do you think you can replicate it? And he's like, I don't know. So the young kid overheard it and then wrote about it like during that time, because he was like, Nikola Tesla believes he's created a time traveling machine. I'm like, that's how like that. Like, sorry. So the cafe kid was like, holy shit, what is going on?
That's really interesting though. That's interesting because you never. Yeah, that's, man, if you could do that kind of stuff, that'd be just amazing to me. I think we'd have, I think there's a lot more to it. I think that I'm one of those people that believe that they've been using cinema for quite a long time to kind of condition people to different things. That's what I think.
I agree with that theory for sure.
Definitely.
Because they'll
40s, 50s, 60s, stuff like that.
Yeah, because I was cooking the past couple of days, just doing stuff in the house, getting things ready. It's cold, animals got to be tended to. So I just turn on the TV, and sometimes cool. And I remember the series Leave It to Beaver.
Mm-hmm.
If you just watch that whole, and I was just talking about it with Flavio. Like if you just watch that whole thing, it's interesting how now that I'm my age and I listen to certain things they say, it makes sense. But if you're a kid watching that, it makes no sense to you.
Just goes, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They're like, well, I'm not here to we're not here to talk about democracy. We're here to talk about, fairness to the people. I was like, holy shit. This is like just a whole, it just goes on and on. And if they were negotiating with aliens, it was definitely in the 1940s and 50s. 100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
If they were doing it. Because that's where all that shit started, from that era. What was it? What was War of the Worlds? War of the Worlds? What was that year? What year was that?
That was
War of the Worlds was
30s. No, 20s.
Was it 20 something or 30 something?
Look it up. It was like 20s, 30s. By the way, Michael's right. Michael, you're right. I got it backwards. He did die in the Manhattan Hotel, or inside the hotel. He had moved there because he didn't have a lot of money at the time of death. Thank you. You're right. He was staying. That was, I believe, if I'm not correct, which Michael, you could probably look it up and Google it. But I believe that hotel was like kind of like those live-in hotels.
1938.
So it's like you pay by the month at the time.
1938.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
When all that stuff, like when all that stuff started, like all that, and he caused a big uproar when he did that. People actually really believe that.
It was the first big hoax.
Yeah,
I tell people to go
kill their families and shit. Like it went crazy.
But you know what's really funny is that before he started reading it, he actually said this is from a fictional book, but it was the people that tuned in midway that didn't know that.
Yeah, his introduction wasn't. It's not like they could rewind it on their DVR.
No, exactly. It's not like how it is today, where it's like, oh, let's
radio
join live or start at the beginning.
But here's what I want to know is that's great. But there were people believed enough that there were aliens at that time, enough to kill
Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah.
Right? Because
Let us-
right now, Jeff, if they were like, oh, are you going to go shoot your daughters?
No.
No.
That's what I'm saying. But back then, that's what was happening.
aliens.
Listen, let us not forget, though, that during that time, even in 1947, when the Roswell crash happened, the very first newspaper line that came out was, "We finally got one." And then they changed it when they remade when they had everything taken and covered back up. But the original line was because for several years there had been another crash that had been talked about, recovered, and all that. And then they didn't have any info of it. And then the very first line straight in the newspaper from the government was, "We finally got one." So at that time, talking about UFOs or extraterrestrial life was like a big thing. People were just hoping to finally catch one of those UFOs. And then it was like, oh shit, we literally just admitted to all the other countries that now we are in our possession, have like non-human intelligence in our possession. Take that away, rewrite that, mix it up. So in 3 days' time, everything changed. Everyone's lives were threatened. The radio was threatened. The newspaper was threatened. The newspaper had to make a new headline within
just kidding
24 hours. Yeah. And within 24 hours, everything was like, it was nothing. It was nothing. Brazil's just a joke. Everything's a joke. They went out there.
There's flip sides.
2 inches of ground off of everywhere. Yeah. No.
Yeah. Because if it was, if we did get that technology, we don't want anyone else knowing about it. Again, it's always a power grab, man. That's what it always comes down to.
So as soon as they did, they're like, oh shit, why did Jim put that in the headlines? Can't let Russia know we have that.
But that's really how it goes down. And I think there's a lot. I think there's a lot. And I think that's really cool. And so many thoughts to that. And people ask me all the time, and I'm like, I try to defer them to you because you really love that stuff. I try not to think about it because I just want to live fast and die. I don't want to worry about all that stuff. I just want to have fun while I'm here. And
I'm not going to lie.
I don't want to go outside and like, hey, what's up, Bill? I don't want to go outside. They're going to go, oh, by the way, these big ships are coming in. I'm like, oh, fuck. That ruins my plans for the year.
Right.
You know what's really funny is this reminds me. So what year was this? This would have been like 2007, 2006, something like that. Right when like social media and everything started to become something. I was working the theater show in Orlando, and I come in from pre-show, and my boss is sitting in the green room, and he goes, "I'm not joking right now. They're claiming that there's a mothership, like an alien ship over Los Angeles right now. And I was like, what? And I was like, where are you reading this? And like, it was an actual article headline, like breaking news. And I don't even know what it ended up being, but it was like big deal. And like, we're all like, we're just sitting here doing a freaking theater show tonight. There's a freaking alien invasion over LA right now. Like all of us were like, how do we go on? Do we do the show? It's like, what?
Good Lord.
I was like, where is this coming from? And then it was like fake news.
Fake fucking news.
But at first you're just like, did you just say an alien? Like a mothership over LA? This is like a sci-fi movie. You're joking, right? No, it's legit. It's right here in the news. And it's like news article breaking now. And it's like, I don't want to go do the show. I want to go home. I want to go with my family.
I remember we had something drastic during 9/11 when that happened, man. I remember that. Like,
yeah, that
world was crazy. Wasn't that crazy when that went down, bro? Like, just crazy.
I was living in California. I just bought a ticket because I moved back to New York City. So I bought a ticket on September 9th, 2001 to fly from Ontario, which is basically Los Angeles area, to Newark, I think. And my flight was the 15th of September. I think it was a day or two after they reopened air travel. It was scary, though. I was living with my first wife in Southern California.
And you guys had to get on that plane after that? I'd be like, fuck.
Yeah, nobody wanted me to go, but I figured it was the safest time ever to fly, a couple days after. I was sizing everybody up. I'm like, watching you. Like, that guy will help me. And there was a bunch of like
that's funny.
Marines on the plane going from place to place too. So I was like, but I think that if anything happened at that point, I think everybody was already in the mindset of, kill or be killed.
Oh, for sure. It got really...
it got really wild. I remember it.
It did.
I go, well, I'm not going to open the shop today. There wasn't it looked like the apocalypse, dude. There was nobody out. Nobody.
Yeah, I went to work and ended up coming home like an hour or two later. I was working in Orange County, and it was like an hour drive from where I was living. And just all the way there, all I do was listen to the radio, trying to get an account of what's going on. I woke up right before the second plane hit. So I saw that happen live on TV. It was pretty crazy stuff.
We were up visiting Aunt Ann. It was Mom, Nanny, and I, and Aunt Ann in Kentucky. And we had gotten up, and then Aunt Ann had the news on, and it was like some morning show, and they both stopped. They're like, is this real? Is this live? And they're like talking because it was like some morning show. And then they're like, we were just informed that a plane just hit one of the towers. And then like they're showing a live feed, and then all of a sudden you just see another plane go into a tower. Like I was sitting on Aunt Ann's sofa at her old apartment with Applejack, the Pomeranian, on my lap. Like I remember it so vividly. It's amazing how like when something traumatic like that happens, you just you see it.
And there was a lot more to that too, buddy.
Yeah. Well, more's come
out now.
There's a
whole lot more to them story. I know. I was watching these unedited videos, the same videos that we watched that morning live. They were delayed, and they were able to airbrush them. And some of these other ones it was terrible. Those poor people.
Oh, I know. You could see people.
They were hanging on the side by sheets and just letting go, dude. And just trying to, they were like tying their jackets around the metal, and they're just hanging on the side, waiting for somebody until they started to get tired, and they're like letting go. And it was like sad, dude. It was just
crazy.
And there's other stuff. What's that?
Didn't Time Magazine do the honor to that one guy? Like, remember? I think it was
there
Time
was a
Magazine
show called
on the front.
There was a show called The Falling Man, and they went and looked at everybody, and they gave them their whole Yep,
and then they told their life story in honor of them, like in the pictures and it's crazy.
Yeah, it was pretty wild stuff. I just remember all that going down. I was like, oh my God, dude. But there's always like more to it now that we're way into it. It's a little easier on the blow to let a little bit more truth to stuff, because the first thing in my head when I saw that happening, Jeff, was we're not that stupid.
Yeah.
Somebody knows something somewhere. Okay. And that wasn't the first time that place was attacked. I mean, they bombed it before. Like that wasn't the first time.
Yeah, no, the first time was Ramzi Youssef.
Yeah, remember? I mean, it's like, well, they're really trying to take this down.
He got caught when he tried to return the rental van to Penske.
Yep.
But not return the van. He tried to get his deposit back without the van, I think.
I think New York is like a hit spot for them every time. Like anybody it's like,
a lot of population. There's so much going on. It's easy to hide in plain sight.
Yeah.
Who's going to notice a dirty old van with some graffiti on the side of New York City? Nobody.
Yeah, and the infrastructure sucks. And so they don't mind blowing shit up and getting. I just think there's more to it. I don't ever want to think that the country we live in is so ignorant that a couple little guys could get through and do that. There was way more to that than going. Way more. I mean, we secure our homes a lot more than it just.
Yeah.
I never could understand it back then. Of course, I was older. Jeff's older. We weren't little kids. Everybody's like, oh, I remember I was in school and they gave us peanut butter sandwiches and told us to sit under the desk. I'm like, yeah, man, I was trying to run a shop at that time. And I'd already been like, what the hell's going on now? Because,
married. Yeah. No,
hey, man. Nobody remembers, like, if you talk to kids in this generation, nobody remembers being able to go all the way up to the gate to wait for your loved one to come off the plane, or like go on to the plane and like wave at I know you do, but I'm saying like the generation now, like that's how I grew up. We'd walk with our family all the way to the gate. Like Home Alone was a real thing. That wasn't just in the movies. We used to walk to the gate together. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and now since 9/11, you don't do that anymore. It was just such a weird, surreal feeling. Like, it's like, you can't go with your loved one all the way to the gate.
You can, you just have to get scanned.
You have to get a visitor pass, but usually I think they only do it for minors or people who need help getting to the gate.
Assistance.
I do it with the kids a lot, and they just give you a gate pass.
Yeah, you want to make sure your daughters make it on the airplane.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
That would make sense. Well, at least they still do that. That's good.
But I do remember that. You could go wait for them to come off the plane and be there, and they're like, oh, we're here.
Yep. Yeah. I
Get
love
on
it.
an airplane, light a
He's like,
cigarette.
wait for him.
Looking over everybody.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Oh, they used to have smoking lounges. Remember that? Like a little glass room where everybody
Yeah.
just smoked. You could just go in there and take 2 big breaths and leave because you had plenty of nicotine in here.
Yeah, they also had the little ashtrays in the chairs, man. If you
Yep.
get on a plane now and there's ashtrays in the chairs, get off.
I don't know if Vegas is
That's
still like
held
that.
together
That was-
by duct tape and rubber bands, baby.
Vegas was one of the last vestiges of being able to do whatever you want in the airport. They have the slot machines, and you could sit there and smoke cigarettes while you played slots while you're waiting for your plane.
This is true. Mary is not lying about this. There are women that are like over the heels willing to commit a crime to just become his jail wife.
Okay, well, there was a okay.
Luigi is his name, by
Okay.
the way.
Mhm.
But there were because
This is insane.
listen, it's flowed up because there are people that had certain healthcare companies, and I'm just going to say this is because I'm not really into all the BS, but I will comment on this. There were companies where some of these people had paid their whole life, and when they needed them, they were rejecting them. Right?
United
And we're in this
Healthcare
new
world famous.
Yes.
I had
Yeah.
it before.
right. So I have a couple predictions on that. That guy knew what he was getting into when he got into that position, or the higher ups put somebody in that position that really didn't matter that much because they knew something would happen eventually, right? Like, because this guy, like I don't think we should go around killing people. I don't condone any of that.
Right.
But I do know that when people as a group get tired of being abused, you're taking from the American. If somebody had a family member that needed help and you paid your whole life, and then they say, oh, well, because, they had red hair, we're not going to do that in our clause. That's just ridiculous. And there are unstable human beings. And they're going to make unstable decisions. And that guy caught it. Now, to glorify not being treated fair, I see all the stuff where they're talking about, glorifying he's dead, fuck that guy, whatever, CEOs, and keep watch out, start denying people all the money. Auto places do it too. Like any kind of auto insurance, if you do something, they decide they don't want to do it, they neglect you, and you're left holding the bag, which could hurt your whole family. You know what I'm saying? Even if it wasn't your fault.
Yeah.
No,
So,
for sure.
and insurance companies can be, a nightmare in itself. But what they did was, really bad. She said, Troy, I worked in healthcare for years, and it's way more complicated. Luigi was a schizophrenic. Yeah, well, I'm not saying that Luigi wasn't anything good. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that's the reason people are glorifying that. And it is complicated. And then you've got ambulance chasers. Because 9 times out of 10, when you have lousy people using the system, which we do, we know that we do, it causes good people. And then, the media picks something up. And anytime social media or any type of that media picks something up, everybody gets on the bandwagon, even if they have absolutely no. And I could run science experiments all day long with it and show you, like,
You're 100% right. You're so right on that. Clickbait.
Because they're ridiculous. Like, I have a lemur that looks completely real, but it's fake. So I could do a video of myself beating the shit out of it, kicking it all over the place and telling it to fuck off and be like, that's how you train a lemur. And more people would believe that because they think with their emotions instead of really looking into the story.
Yeah.
Right. And we would do those science experiments like that.
Confirmation bias and,
And right. And they're like, oh, he's an abuser, and then label it, send it out 500,000 times. And it creates this whole thing. There's two sides. I mean, regular media has lost control too.
Oh, for
because
sure.
before, when I was young, or when Jeff and I were like turning TVs with the clicker, click, 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 whatever, the 17. Yeah, don't do it. You're gonna break the fin off. There's a fin on there, But you only could go to the news, and it had to be at 6 o'clock, had to be at 10 o'clock, and you knew, and I would watch the news, right? And then, conspiracy theories or books or stuff were like banned. They wouldn't let you have that. So if you had an opposing idea to what was going on at that time,
Yeah.
And I just think, there was a lot of corrupt shit going on back then that I've talked to a lot of older people, man, that are in their 90s, and they tell me about some stuff that happened back then. And it's not the pretty pictures that you saw on like Leave It to Beaver and Wall-E and all that kind of. It wasn't like that. I mean, there was some serious shit going on, especially for you women. You had some bullshit to deal with. You were laying your man's clothes out. If you didn't do it right, you took a slap in the mouth. What are you going to do? Jeff's running the agency. Me and Jeff like to kick the shit out of women at that time, right? What's going to happen? He's the fucking head of police. And they called, they go, look, and Jeff goes, oh, it's my boy, Troy. Troy, cut that out, man. What are you doing, man? Don't beat her in front of anybody. Do it in the house. Do it in the house. So there was so much of that going on that's not tolerated anymore. So there was some bullshit, dude. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's just always bullshit. And now we have social media. So my thing is that as they get it and they get on these uprages, and then there's no facts behind what they're raging about half the time.
Oh no, they don't even know what they're raging about half the
It's
time.
worse than having no information. Having a little information is a much more dangerous thing to me. You know,
Yes.
having a headline or a meme or something that people see and base the news on it, you know.
That's the worst.
Nobody's immune to it. And then once somebody gets a hold of it that is respected in any way, then it snowballs and it goes and goes and goes and goes and goes.
Yep. Well, even like with this Luigi situation, there's like so many women that are called, well, and men too. Some men, I've seen some of those videos where they're like, he's a hero. He's a patriot hero. Like, we should be honoring him for what he did. And I'm sitting there going, we need to slow this down a little bit. Like, these videos should not be trending because you have insane people saying insane shit, talking to more insane people, creating mass chaos. And we need to have better control over that. Like, that's not okay. Anybody that's out there being like, he's a patriot, we need to follow suit. We need to do the same. We need to quiet those people. That's like insane thought. Like,
it's true. And when you study behavior, I like to watch behavior. And I'll tell you that I do know that I was really getting into this and watching, but that type of social media will create, let me put this up for Craig. False information is worse. Jeff was on the show once. It's true. It only takes one person to say it, one person to hear it. So true. But here's the thing. Social media, they call them influencers a lot of times. Right? You can be an influencer. But you're influencing an idea doesn't necessarily that you're going to go out and really be, some of them are just influencing an idea like follow democracy, vote, petition. Not be a violent, ridiculous human being, not go out there and act like, whatever, like a nut job, dude. Right.
Exactly.
So you have these groups now where I was reading that now that the government, the task force, et cetera, whatever the linkages that they do, whatever they are as part, are watching because there are certain creators that they believe are causing militias, which will then be known as terrorists. So then you're going to be viewed totally different. So your social media platform is there, but you do one terrorist move and you make threats like that. You really have to remember that you're talking to some stupid fucks out there, like what we're doing right now. We probably have a handful of really good, intelligent people, but there's some weirdo sitting out there and then, oh, you shouldn't say that about people, Troy. Everybody's special. No, the fuck they're not. People are fucking stupid and crazy. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It usually comes from uneducation or, like she said, schizophrenic. That's a terrible thing to be diagnosed with, right?
Yep.
We should be doing more to care for people like that, not just turn them loose. But then again, there was some sort of attraction to hit United Healthcare. Okay. So if someone came to me and goes, oh, it was all planned, they did it to them and they were going to do this to create a diversion, I would not believe that either because you just don't know anymore.
Yeah.
Like I watched these two comedians. I sent you the video. Okay. The two overweight dude and the one talking about their dead white dads. Did you see that comedy skit?
No, I haven't seen that one yet. No.
Oh my God, dude. People thought that was real and they wanted to go kill them. They're comedians talking about how stupid people are. And they did a fake thing where they're like, oh yeah, I was so glad white was gone. My white dad died. He was gone. Let's get rid of the white.
Oh my God.
And people are like, oh, let's go find these fuckers and kill them. Like, are you reading the comments of some of these?
You can't joke with people anymore because they take everything so damn serious.
I know, bro. It's like, and then people are like, hello, idiots. These are comedians. It's a skit routine. Hello. This is the name of the podcast. It was hilarious. I thought it was the funniest thing, the way they do high five, let's hug. Dead dads, yeah. But people thought that was real and they were fucking getting pissed. And I'm thinking, you can't believe everything you see because it comes up on social media. You just can't. And maybe there's really no way to really research it because Google is controlled narrative. What someone says is a controlled narrative. So you just have to really use your common sense that you have in your brain and really try to put it together.
Everybody has an agenda. You know,
But unfortunately, though, here's the problem. This is
That's
the
right, Jeff.
downfall. But
That
this is a
right.
downfall. And Jeff, you know it too. We've talked about it before. This is like a major downfall because now they have the ability. We have given platforms and we've given them the ability, the idiots of our society, we have given them the ability to have free speech and say whatever they want and make these horrendous claims or whatever they want to say. And then it creates mass chaos because we've allowed it.
Yep,
We
I
have,
agree.
in
It
a
is-
sense,
it is all
allowed
this.
it.
When
know,
I say,
Google, social media.
I agree.
Ugh.
Shoot,
It's
Jeff,
like
what do
giving
you
a
say?
teenage girl a credit card. She's not going to be responsible with it. She's going to go crazy.
Exactly.
You know, it's
Exactly. It's the same thing. It's the same principle.
Or a teenage boy. See, someone's going to get upset at that, Jeff. They're going to want to burn your house down because you said. And
Any
he said that, folks,
teenager.
because he has 3 daughters. All right, he's not
has
raising any
daughters.
boys. He's raising 3 daughters, and he gives them a credit card, and they go crazy.
yeah, no doubt. Yeah,
I just wanted to put that in there because there will be some idiot out there that will crop this. Go look at these guys,
I
pieces
agree.
of shit.
Very
Chauvinistic
true, Mary. Very
bastards.
true. Stupid is as
Yeah, and
stupid
so-
does.
And so, you know, you give, and another thing that I didn't grow up with, okay, these whole situations where, man, how can I say this without pissing off the masses or having somebody misconstrue what I'm going to say?
It's somebody's gonna do it anyway.
I don't know. I'm going to be very clear. Like you protect the underdog. You protect a child that is less fortunate in a mental capacity, right? You don't let people bully them. You don't throw them in a general population where they have to fend for themselves because it's not fair to them because they haven't developed yet. Maybe they will. Maybe it'll come later. But we created this in towards the end when I was in my 20s. I started seeing schools giving out participation trophies. What the fuck is that? Now hold on.
Yeah.
I think it's a plan, right? Because yes, there's a warm jacket for every person. But there are people that really work hard to do what they do. Like for instance, Jeff, not everybody can be a bounty hunter. Okay? Just because I give you a fucking vest, go bounty hunt these criminals. You don't have that. It's not you, right? So they shouldn't get that. So if you don't go, oh, they showed up and wore their jersey, let's give them a trophy. Well, then what are we working for? Then what are the people who want to go for? What are we working for? Why are we stepping it up? So it's a fine line. But then they come out with safe spaces. Safe spaces were mosh pits when I was a kid.
Clobbering time.
Listen, yeah, you could just go push everybody around, have bloody noses, and you're hugging later at the end of the night. That was the greatest show ever. All your aggression. Yeah. Now it's like, oh, let's give them a little safety. And they sit behind their windows and point at you like, can't touch me. But you come out in this real world, pull you apart, right?
Yeah.
But I was bullied as a kid. And it was good for you to be bullied. I believe that there should be a stable of bullying. Animals bully, not abuse. Don't misconstrue what I'm saying,
there's
people.
a difference.
Don't get all fired up and all pissed off. Me, there's bullying to create a pecking order, which it'll make a leader rise or it'll keep down an idiot. Period. End of story. Really.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, there's not bullying against someone for homosexuality or because they're short or they have something. That's totally different. But just bullying in general, like, oh, I can't believe you wore that shirt. You look, you know, that's just minor bullying. Or you look like a girl. You have long hair. You look like a girl. I used to get that all the time. So I had real long hair.
Long hair growing up too.
My son gets it all the time.
You're a girl. And then all the little girls would jump on me and kiss me behind the fucking school. They're like, oh, he's cute. And then they hated me in front of the other guys walking around. So it was good. So we all got to go through this bullying, if you will, and girls, they bully too. I've seen girls bully the shit out of other girls.
I think women are way worse than boys as far as bullying goes. If you want,
because they're strategic about it.
Mm-hmm. Vindictive, strategic, evil.
Yeah, guys are just terrible. Hey, let's just go fuck with him.
Yeah.
And sometimes a form of bullying is ball busting, right? Like I'll ball bust Daniel all day because I want Daniel to get tough skin. Yeah. I don't want Daniel to keep going out in the world thinking everything's a handout. It doesn't work that way. Life sucks ass. You have to constantly polish the turd and put it back on the shelf, bro. That's how it's going to be. Right?
Well, remember when you grew up, it was like, if they pick on you, they like you. You know what I mean? Like, that's what we grew up hearing all the time. Remember, it was like, if they're picking on you, it's because they like you. You know what I mean? Like, what?
That's true. I mean, a lot of times, like, it's a form of flirting or it's a form of, but bullying is a general, complete elimination of bullying. I don't think would be a good idea because what are you creating? A bunch of wimps? Hey, when I go through the mall and I walk around, I go, if we get invaded, I see what other countries are like.
No.
If we did really end up going, we'd be fucked, dude. We'd be fucked. They'd be throwing Pokemon cards at people. Oh my God, I need my magic card. What's going on? With a fucking Gatorade bottle glued to their dick so they can piss so they don't have to get up and miss the game. I mean, there's just shit going on right now. And I love playing video games. I used to get yelled at.
Where are my cheat codes? Where are my cheat codes?
Forever. Really just take the spirit of independent and free thinking out of the equation and turning us all into mindless lemmings or drones, what have you. Yeah. So it's easy to say, well, if nobody's a winner and nobody can get ahead, it kills the spirit of competition. When there's no spirit of competition, it makes the world easier to control. So if everybody's
100% part of the plan, Jeff.
Yep.
That's what I was saying.
It's so much easier to say, okay, this is the only type of carrot that I have to dangle to get you all happy, and you all get the same stick if you fuck up.
Yay.
So there's no, the spirit of competition. And granted, when I was really young, I was a pretty awkward kid. I wasn't great at sports, but I strived and I worked hard and I got help and I got better, at least enough that I felt like I could stand, on a field with a bunch of people and hold my own. If you kill the spirit of competition, if you don't make it worth anything, people aren't. Yeah,
they just give you a trophy and then they put you up against a competitive person and you're fucked.
Exactly.
Because you believe in yourself too much.
Exactly. Yep. And my parents were really supportive. I mean, if I got second place out of 3 people, they still patted me on the back and been like, hey, at least, you weren't last.
I remember this game when we were young, and I don't remember what it was. It was something we would do around the fire with my Uncle Gary. He would tell us, listen, I got a game. If you can beat me at this game, you'll have dinner. If not, you go to bed without dinner. Now it's up to you. You want to play the game or not? We're going, fuck, we'll play the game. And I remember it would be something like he would know knowledge about something, or it would be a race. But he would say, it's not about how you get there. It's about when you get there or whatever. And he'd play this with you, make you competitive, right? And I remember him doing stuff like that. Like, you don't have to take it, though. You can just ride easy if you want. Or let's make it and we'll do a little extra, whatever. And it really created sometimes you have to lose so you understand. Like, you got to lose, because if you don't know how to fail, you'll never achieve anything.
Right. If you don't know what I really feels like.
You have to keep driving people. You have to. Our nature is to have a drive to challenge ourselves to be better.
That's right, Craig.
And so if you remove that, you're making people that have no drive in their day-to-day, no purpose, no nothing. Everything they expect to come easy. Everything is to be given to them. And so it's like, you can't, I hate the participation trophy. And that's in every aspect, even in work. It's like, no, this guy has shown up late every day to work, and now I'm doing his work. Like, why are we getting paid the same? Why is he getting benefits? Why is he getting promotions? And this douchebag should be fired. Like, but no, we can't do that because we can't upset him. Like, we can't upset anybody. And like, no.
Yeah, no. Well, that's kind of fading. There's a lot of that kind of fading away. We went through a little bit of that, but we really need to get back. And again, Brittany, I'm going to say it again for some people that watch, so it's not misconstrued. It doesn't matter what your political views are or your religious views. There's a code of ethics that you should live by, period, end of story. Right?
100%.
And so
100%.
Do what competitive. No harm.
That's right. And be competitive or whatever. But like, we're in the circuit. Sometimes I get hired. They want us to come out and bring animals out to, like, these cons and stuff. But there's guys that are my age and Jeff's age, and they're wearing leotards with big camel toes. All right.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's okay to dress like Spider-Man if you're 400 pounds. That's not the character that was created. Right. So when little kids ask a question and they get in trouble, you should never say that. No, because the character that was created looks like a specific. So when you're 52 years old and you're walking around with a ball hanging out on each side in your pants, walking around in front of children going, I got my Spider-Man a pillow, and I got, what the fuck, bro? And it's like, just let loose. Like it's let loose, and you can, it's not even now. How do you tell that? It's just, there's so much. I can't. Now,
I agree.
If we wanted to wear black bicycle shorts and not dress up as a character with a big old honking camel toe, 2 big balls bulging out on the side, and go to an event where there's children, they would throw us the fuck out.
Oh yeah. Or yeah.
But you can go where there's children. You can walk around with your dong hanging on your leg and shit. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me, dude. It's such a weird shit in the world.
Yeah,
And
there's a lot
I
that's
call those
backwards.
society science things. And Flavia and I'll sit and talk about it. Let's try this and see what happens. Let's say this and see what happens. You know? And it's like, you just watch how it works. But if Jeff and I went there dressed up as Superman or Big Ball Man or whatever, it'd be okay. Right? Oh, he's just special. So I have to chew on a sock and act weird, and then you create room for predators and everything else. The world we have to have boundaries, folks. There has to be boundaries in everyone's life and everybody's every day.
Yep.
Because in our own homes, it's our homes. We can do what we want. As long as we're not hurting anybody, like Jeff said earlier. Right? But when you go out,
it's hard right now.
Right, but there may be things that Jeff does not want his young daughters exposed to in a public format. So there's an ideology to follow. That's all I'm saying. He may be okay with some of that stuff, but other parents wouldn't be. But if there's a guideline that keeps everybody safe, when you go home, you can be like, oh, that's what this is or that. That's between you. But when you go to a public event, you know, it's the same as if one of us are wearing, hey, fuck you, fuck off, and walking around in front of children event with that. It's not to me, it's not appropriate. I wouldn't do it.
Right.
Why would I want to start the trouble in the first place? But if I'm out at a hard rock show, rock and roll show, or Jeff and I are going to an AC/DC concert, and we got, fucking rock and roll or whatever, we're out there. That's the area for that.
Yeah.
So
it's the environment. So
the environment is so. But I would be allowed to get away with it because I'm not, I don't act special or whatever the hell you have to do or whatever. So there's just so much weird crap the world is kind of mending from now that.
Yeah.
Everything has to be within reason. Like, it's nice to have a drink once in a while. It's not good to drink 16 times a day.
Exactly. Yep.
Right? It's
moderation.
Great to get high, relax, and smoke some weed. I'm all for that. Smoke a little pot, guys, and love your family. But not every fucking day, all day, every day, all day, every day. You can't.
Well, not all day, but probably every day. But that's my sleep
But
time.
not all day. But you know what I mean? And there's a time. Yeah, Jeff's not going to go get baked to beyond belief and then try to help people in the hospital.
No, I don't smoke.
The code of ethics, man. He's responsible for lives. He's responsible for influencing others. You see what I mean?
Yep.
So we need to apply those same rules all the way across the board. Be yourself. Be expressive. It's great. You want to dress up and do crazy stuff, cool. But just try to be a little bit of understanding of in public places what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because not everybody sees the world the way you do.
Yeah. Well, and then, it's like on the other side too, where it's like, they're like, well, then they're not letting me be me. It's like, no, you can be you, but you still have to be respectful to other people as well. If we have to be respectful to you, then you should be respectful to us as well. Like, it should go back and forth. That's a general respect code across the board for everybody.
Yeah. Well, like, what if you were feeling passionate with John and you guys were in this really big, beautiful department store and you guys wanted to have sex on the Macy's bed because it was passion and love? Wait a minute. Don't make a face yet. Listen to what I'm saying. You weren't doing that out of being lewd and lascivious. You were just it was passion and we loved each other and we're expressing our love, right? You could get away with saying that, but you're going to go to jail.
Yeah.
Because there's a line that says you can't do it, right? But you can do this. It just says it's so crazy to me, man. It's okay. Like, nope, you can't make love to your wife on the beach at night. It's indecent exposure. But we'll put a cat litter box in a school for your child to take a pee in because it's a cat.
Don't get me. Do not.
Hold on. I'm just saying.
Because
I'm not saying I agree or don't agree with it, but I'm just telling you that people get arrested at night to go out to the beach because they're under the moonlight and they want to have some sex with their partner.
Listen,
I'm not. You're not. There's no. I don't. You can do whatever you want in the dark, but you get arrested. But then we'll do that kind of weird shit.
Look,
Come on, man.
You know what's really funny is one night. So like this actually reminds me of the beach story. So like this was a few years back.
Maybe you better shouldn't do that, Brittany. You shouldn't talk about it.
Oh no, it's fine. It wasn't me. I didn't do it, but I was with John and John's family.
The beach or the litter box at this point?
No, don't get me started about the litter box. That's child abuse. I don't even want to. We're not going there.
It's not child abuse. It's real simple. Cats don't go to school, so you don't have to go. All right, so go ahead and go.
That too. Anyway, I was on vacation with John and his family, and we were staying at like a little beach house for like a weekend or whatever. It was like one of the summer weekend getaways. And Sophie, my niece, was probably This is a couple years ago. So she was pretty young. She was like, I don't know, maybe 10, 9 or 10. Anyway, we're like, oh, there's cool lights on the beach. Let's go run down. We're going to go run to the beach. And like, we start running and she's a runner anyway. She's a basketball player, but we're running and we're going. And all of a sudden, like we see ahead of us and my vision's shit. And there's like a girl and another girl, but they're taking pictures on the beach at night. And I'm like, oh, that's fun. So Sophie and I are running. Sophie and I, we get up there and all of a sudden we're like, and it was dead silent between the two of us for like 2 seconds. And then Sophie just looks up. She goes, was she naked? And I was like, yeah, I think she was. And we just keep running. And then we see the lights and then we run back and she's still naked. So there's like this, she had to be like maybe 19-year-old girl and her 19-year-old friend that were out on the beach having fun. And she was naked taking nude pictures of herself on the beach, like just having fun with these pictures. Sophie was like, is she naked? And I'm like, yep, let's just keep going. Let's give them their privacy because she's having fun making pictures, like, I'm not.
Yeah, doing their own thing.
They're doing their own thing. It's in the dark. And they honestly, the beach was completely empty. So in fairness to those girls, they were not harming anybody. They weren't doing anything. They were off doing stuff by themselves. Sophie and I were just in our own world, like, let's go see what these lights are, and like we ran down to see what they were and we're like, we're so sorry for interrupting, goodbye. like we shot past them. But was I offended? No. Was I upset? No, because the beach was empty and closed and they were just being
they're doing their
girls,
thing. They weren't out there during the day. That's my point.
Exactly. So I was like, who gives a shit? So like, if you, in my opinion, if a husband and wife are at a hotel and they sneak down to the beach, because first of all, I don't think that that's fun because you get sand in places. That's some shit. Like, ugh.
You learn from experience, I see.
No, but it's just sense. Like you sit in the beach and you come home with it. But I'm just saying, if that's something you guys want to do and it's at night, like completely at night, and no one's coming down to the beach, who gives a shit? Like, I don't care.
Yeah, but people do.
You're not going to
come
be
out there
walking
with
your
their holy
kids
water
down
and their
there.
cross.
It's not as sexy as it sounds, that's for sure.
It's not, but you know what? If you want to be like, let's just try it. Let's just be adventurous and try it. I don't think that's
but
right.
Don't you think it's funny that it's illegal to me, but all the other weird shit isn't? That's my point. Yeah,
no, that shouldn't. To me, that shouldn't bring a quilt. Noted, Michelle. Thank you.
Excuse me.
I don't know. I think I'm with you, Troy. I think it's ridiculous. I think like that shouldn't be a line. I personally think like you allowing your child to use a litter box and eat cat food at 4 years old, that's a crime to me. So, I mean, and I said that because I feel it and I don't give a shit who hears it.
Well, yeah, you got children. You can't, it's funny that, I have Jeff kids. Worked as a body piercer and you can't be piercing little kids. They have to be 18, but they can do some other weird shit. I know. It's just a weird world, man.
It's a weird world. See, look at Craig getting adventurous. I love it, Craig.
Craig is an adventurous guy.
I love it. Getting it.
You should have made postcards, Craig, every time and mailed them out. But I'm sure he was doing that in the privacy, and I'm sure a lot of people do that.
From your national parks.
Yeah. And first of all, if you think about this for a second, I have when I've been in the plane, the Mile High Club. You have got to give it to some people for actually trying it in an airplane bathroom. I'm sorry. If you can pull that off.
I can't even turn around in an airplane bathroom.
Wow. Kudos to you. If you can do this, if you're part of the Mile High Club and you have done it, bravo, because those bathrooms are extremely tiny. I hate using them even when I have to go to the bathroom because you can't turn around. It's horrible. You realize that you're hovering on a toilet 30,000 feet up. Like you're literally sitting on a toilet 30,000 feet up. Let that sink in.
Yeah, I don't ever go in them. Ever.
And then you think about like two people actually hooking up in one. You're like, I have thought about it. I have sat in those bathrooms and went, wow, where would she go? Where would he stand? Like, how would this work? Like,
you know what's even crazier?
Stand up. Like, what?
If you like, I have obviously went in one before, but like when you flush, it goes, oh! It screams like when it opens. But what's funny is you're pissing, doing 700 miles an hour, dude.
Oh, that's true.
So like, if you fucking drop out of the sky for that time that happens, you're gonna be face to face with your piss. You're gonna be floating in there like this momentarily, and then you're gonna touch the ground. Can you imagine?
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
Bro, I've been on some planes where that shit sucks when it's just flying along and then it drops like 30 fucking feet.
Yep.
Like fast.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, oh, it's like you can't breathe. It's like you condense.
Well, I'm gonna go let the dog out.
Go ahead, bud. So yeah,
That's
with
so
that being
funny.
said, that would be a crazy situation in itself for sure.
Yeah. I
Crazy
think about that, though,
situation.
like if you remove the plane, you're literally just a little person on a toilet 30,000 feet up, like peeing and pooping in the sky. Like what?
I know.
think about that random stuff sometimes when I'm in
I
a
try to
plane. I'm
just
like,
get out of the sky as quick
so weird.
as possible because I just don't, I've had my own issues with airplanes and been on them when we've had some issues. I just don't really care for them, but some people do. I do it obviously because I work and I have to, but
Yeah.
it ain't fun sometimes.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
I prefer to fly in the winter. Anyways, the cooler air, it's less bullshit with the turbulence. Summertime always has the turbulence, dude.
I don't like
A boom. And people are like, oh, and they're like holding the chairs. It's terrible, man. Like, I know you're not going to die, but it sucks ass.
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't. I've put like dents in my chair for my fingernails.
Yeah.
Jeff,
I don't
we're
like it.
coming back into Seattle, dude.
I don't like it.
Brittany was across us. It was me and Justin, one of the film crew. Brittany was over there. And she was like, no, she was up in front a little bit. I saw her up to the front, probably like
I was
3
one
to
row in
my right,
front.
but 3.
Yeah.
And all of us were together. And this plane, bro, it would go all the way like sideways. So like Brittany would be up there and then we would drop like this back down.
Yeah.
And I remember Carlos going, man, I hope that wing doesn't just, touch that street right there because we're trying to land. He's like, oh, he goes, I feel like I'm on Deadliest Catch. I was like, what? These guys filmed on Deadliest Catch. They were the videographers and they were talking about that plane ride felt like they did out in the ocean. It was going like this, Jeff, up and down.
Oh, man.
And then it would like, whoa. And it was like they were trying to get it together. And I'm like, this is not cool. And then it would go like that. And I'd look up at Brittany. I'm like, oh, man. And then we looked down at Brittany. I was like, oh, God. My God.
Get it.
And we were bouncing like crazy. And like, I turned around.
And Justin and I were coming back into Tampa because Brittany flies to Fleet Orlando. I don't remember where we left. I think it was LaGuardia. And we were flying back in to Tampa. No, it was the time before we went to New York. We were coming out of Minnesota. And we're coming to Tampa. Right as we're coming into Tampa, they're like, all right, guys, we'll let you know that we're flying into Tampa. The temperature is nice 78 degrees and mild. Boom! Right? It hits this turbulent.
Oh, shit.
Justin, like, lets go of his laptop and it, like, slides down and hits the wall because we were on the emergency exit. This guy wraps his arms up underneath his chair and he's, like, holding himself down like we're in G-Force. He's like, oh, my God. And I kept looking at Justin. I'm trying to hold our drinks. Boom! And it would drop again, but just drop. So it feels like you're on a roller coaster. Horrible. I just want this to stop. Bro, like, it sounded like somebody crashed into us kind of bang. You know what I mean? And it's those type of flights I can't stand,
Yeah.
But it's that stupid air. But, our friends that are pilots, we have some really good friends and family. And they're like, listen, imagine an airplane stuck in a gigantic bowl of Jell-O. Because that's exactly what happens. Can't fall out of the sky, but you're going to get jiggled around until it stabilizes again. That's exactly how it is. Because turbulence doesn't bring planes down.
Rarely.
So, yeah. So you just really got to, it has to be so fucking bad. And there has to be something wrong with the airline,
Yeah.
like
or the
something
plane.
wrong with the plane. That's what I mean. The plane itself.
Yeah.
To have that, but and they talk about it. I just watched the flight attendants. If they look like they're fucking freaking out,
yeah, when
Then
like if it's slamming around, they're like boom, and they're texting on their phone. I'm like, oh, they're used to this. It's cool. If they're like holding the seat, shut up, Akuta. I'm like, I'm done, man. We're dying. Hate it, dude. I absolutely hate to fly.
You're so right about that. Like I was on a plane where I was like praying because I was like, this is it. Like I'm really scared right now. And I remember looking at me, like they pull that chair down in front of you, Troy. That's like when you're walking down the aisle. So the stewardess has like that down chair.
The jump seat.
She literally, this woman comes over, right? And there's two. They have one on both sides. And they pull them down, both stewardess. One was a guy, one was a girl. And I kid you not.
Then it would be a flight attendant.
I'm sorry. Yeah. The flight attendant, not stewardess. A flight attendant.
Jesus Christ. You're going to get me canceled.
I'm sorry. No offense to those out there. Flight attendant. Anyway, so they pull their things down. And I swear to God, I wasn't the only one. There was other people panicking. But I'm looking at them and I'm like, how are they not freaking out right now? We have had super drops. The first drop that we hit, I think we were at 36,000 feet and he came over and he's like, we're now at a cruising 28. We're going to get back up we took a drop and it sucked. and this was flying to LA. But I kept watching them, and you're right. They were laughing and they're talking about what hotel they're about to stay at. And she's like, I looked it up. And they're like this. And she's like, I know, I looked it up earlier and I think it's going to be really great. And they're having this whole conversation. I'm like, you guys. And they have like those massive belts on,
Yeah.
They're her hair.
That's how you got to pay attention to.
And they were just
That's how you pay attention.
And I'm just like, do I just not pray? Do they not care that we could die right now? Like, I was like, what the hell? They were totally chill. Talking about
my
the hotel
favorite
they're
part.
about to stay in.
My favorite part of flying is, and you can ask Justin, is when somebody overloads their bag and they're not strong enough to put it up there.
Oh God!
So somebody helps them, and then when they take it out, they drop it on somebody's head, bro.
Oh yeah.
I mean, just drop it. Oh, and it's always an elderly person, and they fall. Oh my God! Oh, I think he broke my shoulder. It's like, oh, here we go. Let's chase the ambulance. Let's chase them. Or they don't understand etiquette and they try to push back you. I've literally taken my foot and kicked the fucking stroller backwards before. Like, you better learn what the fuck's going on, guy. You better learn. So, but it is fun to watch people drop their luggage on people or try to cram something the size of a Yeti cooler up there. They know they weren't supposed to bring it on.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the other one. That's the other problem.
Like, that person's just a fucking dick. 100%.
Yep. I don't know.
Self-entitled dick.
I think Mom was with me on this flight. I think it was Mom. I was in the middle. The lady next to us took her shoes off, started clipping her toenails next to me.
Oh, God. I do too, Craig.
Believe it. I could not believe it.
I do too.
Pretty sure it was Mom. I was pretty sure it's Mom. I looked over. I hate feet. So I looked over. I'm like, is this woman really clipping her toenails right next to me on the flight? And she was. She had her foot up.
This guy fell asleep on Justin. Remember, like this.
Oh, yeah. Justin was like, I'm so glad I was his pillow.
And he took a picture. He's like, look at that. He posted it, I think.
He did.
The guy passed out on him and Justin took a selfie with it, dude. He's fucking awesome. We're lucky we make it on the plane when Justin's here. Anyways, it is 7 after the hour. I appreciate everybody coming out and checking us out here at the Motley Croc Show. We didn't get to talk about our reptile because we digressed, but they did find another dinosaur reptile. That is a new species. I'll send it to you, Jeff. It's pretty cool.
Sweet.
Pretty cool looking reptile. And it's from the Triassic, I think I want to say. And it was just discovered this year. So it's pretty cool. So they found it and there's a cool story. And I'll send it to you, Jeff. It's pretty awesome. Then we'll just touch on it next week's show too. We'll find out what it was. We mainly talked a lot about the aliens and then, went into, what did y'all do with Justin lately? We haven't done anything lately. We just filmed for Discovery Channel. We have a show called Lost Monster Files, and we go out and Justin and I and Brittany, and we all travel and go around the world looking for Brittany's monsters. Thank you, Craig. Yeah, so if you want to check that out, Kiki, it's Lost Monster Files on Discovery Channel. You can watch it on Discovery Plus or HBO Max.
Oh, you can catch Troy and Justin and I on the Bacon. Bacon is our podcast. That's coming out.
Bacon is our podcast. It's going to come out on December 18th. You're going to see us on there. They took the three of us on there and turned out to be a really good time. Like I was not knowing what we were getting into. Fucking guys were great. The questions they put together were fantastic. Jeff, I can't wait till it airs. I think you're going to have a good time laughing at that.
I'm looking forward to it.
It was awesome.
I am too. I'm telling you, I wasn't sure we were getting into, but these guys made it, and they're in a band. Both of them have their own rock and roll band, so they understand music and everything. But they're really cool guys. I want to do that. So
yeah, they were awesome.
I know what she means. I was just trying to defer that. We didn't do anything with Justin. Justin is a hermit. He does his own thing on his property, and unless he's working, he very rarely communicates. So that's where Justin is right now. He's hiding. He likes to hide. But he'll come back. He'll come out.
He's a hermit crab. He's up in his shell at the moment. His little eyes will peek
he's just
out.
doing his thing.
He said he'd be here in an hour.
Yeah, last 2 years ago.
Justin
that was his name,
good.
Justin Ditch. Yeah. But so we have a good time with all that stuff, and I think we appreciate you guys coming out and checking us out and hanging out with us. And definitely check out that podcast. Bacon is my podcast. December 18th. Spotify, Apple. It's all out there where you catch your podcast at. YouTube, you can find it. So we did that, and it was a really good time. And I'm looking forward to listening to it myself and kind of watching the fools we made of ourselves. I said some mean things on there, folks. I said some mean things about some people, so I'm sure I'm going to get some hate, but I don't really care. That's what we do. But thanks everybody for coming out to the Motley Croc Show and hanging out with us again. This was a place to meet and have a good time and talk about just, well, whatever the hell we want to talk about.
Okay, good.
Did you? Good. Thank you,
Bacon
Jeff.
is my podcast.
Yeah, Bacon is my podcast. It's great. It's
They're
great.
good.
When you watch
Good
it, when you
too.
hear it, Jeff, you'll be like, okay, this is pretty cool.
Cool. I'm always looking for new podcasts.
Yeah, I was impressed with them. These guys were cool, man. These guys. And the kids loved our show, our Discovery show, and they were he goes, you might get a drive-by in here. And the kid came in, he was like, oh, he saw us, he started talking to us, he had a good time.
Right.
It was really, really cool.
Yeah, it was good. It was good fun.
I know, Michelle. Justin Ditch. That's the name. But that's okay, buddy. That's just how it goes. Anyways, folks, thanks for coming out and checking us out the Motley Croc Show. We will see you soon. I hope everybody's having a great holiday season. And we love you. And we appreciate you coming in. So hang loose, folks. Hang loose, you guys.